All right, here we are, Jeff, ready for another episode, and we have
New environment.
a new environment. A new environment.
First
number
off,
one.
we
Yeah,
cleaned.
We cleaned up. We had
Long overdue.
Might be nice and clean here. It was very dirty over there, but yet I think that's part of salesman personality, right? Like, looks
I think
clean
so
here,
too.
yeah. But most importantly, we have a rock star today. Someone that's super near and dear to my heart.
Yep.
And just so excited. And even when the thought of the podcast started,
You brought up her name.
I brought up her name, and this was one that we truly have been patiently waiting for, and she's here today, and I'm so pumped. And we've got Danelle Delgado.
Let's go.
Danelle Delgado, and she is an incredible inspiration to so many. She's graced the stage with the absolute best. She's been to Richard Branson's home. She's been on stage and with Grant Cardone, and I love the story how you got his attention because I remember that one too. And the background story is absolutely incredible. So I am humbly and thankfully that you're here today. I'm so excited. So
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having us. I tell you, you were one of those strong businessmen who kind of gave me a chance in the beginning and said, hey, you're talented, you're amazing. How can I help you? How can we work together? And so I'm forever grateful. This is exciting for me to see what you're doing for business owners everywhere. Yeah. That's always been your heart. So this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, she's being super kind. And it is true. Like I booked you were kind of an agent to one of the speakers, and Danelle was around, and I'm just like, what? She's incredible. Like, you got to speak at the next event.
When was this?
And, well, it's the beginning of our speaking engagement at ASA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it's like, you got to speak. And then after that, it was like, wow, that was incredible. And then she catapulted, and she was soared way past us. But it was so fun, and we had such a great time working together and collaborating and really learning from you is what it really came down to. So I'd love, as we kind of ask everybody, it's like you've got this burning desire and the inspiration to help so many and the drive that is just unstoppable. And where did it come from? So however far back you want to go, your past that kind of got you to the superhuman being that you are now, would love to have you share that with our audience.
Absolutely. I think, I think superhumans are built from super challenging times. And a lot of people are afraid of those. I think I thrive in those because those are really what make you find out what you're made of. And so I guess we'll jump back to I had the blessing of all blessings, which was 3 little kids. I had 3-year-old and 2-year-old twins. And, it's kind of like I'd followed all the rules in my life. I went to school, I got a job, I was an athlete, I got married, I had the dog, the house, the picket fence. It wasn't white, but it was picketed.
Yeah.
And, everything just kind of seemed like, oh, you follow the rules, you do the things, everything is great. And then, it seems like almost in an instant plans don't go your way and you're kind of left with, what do I do? So, 3-year-old, 2-year-old twins, ended up in the middle of a divorce, which I never thought that I would be. Also going, oh, I'm going to have to take care of us financially. How are we going to do this? And I, when I made that decision and what was best for me, I ended up with nothing, no family, no money, no place to live. And it was a really scary place. But I was more afraid of staying in that, being nothing situation than of being something. And so I had some friends rent an apartment for me for 30 days. And the last money in my account, I bought a tent. I thought if the kids were in there and they could learn how to play, if they thought it was play, they would think it was fun. And so I remember them playing with pillows in the tent and me sitting outside the tent crying, going, I have 30 days to pay rent. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do? I was speaking at like women's and youth accounts. And I was writing part-time, in and around everything, like book sleeves for people. And I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be a janitor at night while they're asleep? I just remember kind of pulling all the options. And what happened from there is, I found a version of myself that I think was like a sleeping giant in there. I had a conversation with one businessman, and he said, you're going to have to be in sales. And I was like, going to vomit. Like, what? I know nothing about sales. I was lost. And he gave me a couple of books and met with me a couple of times and said, this is what you're going to have to master because it's the only thing you can choose your paycheck. You have to learn sales. And I knew. So I took on 3 jobs. I was trying to stay alive while doing the kids and learning sales. And I was absolutely horrible until I just like it snapped one day. And I said, that's it. I'm going to learn scripts. I'm going to practice. I'm going to do it. And I did. In about a 90-day time span, I went from absolute devastation to top in sales. And everyone I knew ran away from me in the grocery stores because they were like, she's slinging everything, right? So I lost a little bit of my credibility by being really bad in the beginning. I was like the worst of the worst. But I had some mentors about 30 days in who were like, honey, like, like we want you to provide for your kids. You're going to have to either study a whole lot or just plan for like the 12-year plan instead of the like 1-year plan. So I did. I studied and applied myself. I probably read more books than for free at the library than I'd ever read in my entire life. Wow. Studied, practiced, worked my way up in sales, then built my own sales company because I was like, other people aren't teaching it right. Yeah. They're teaching it wrong. I want to teach people how to be great humans and how to, move products in a way that's in the best interest for both people. And so I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. Worked my way up, built my own stages, which helped me gain traction with some of the big speakers in the world. And then they brought me in their world as well. And just a win-win environment until I started building in corporate and companies. I was building CEOs and building their brands and all of these things. And then they said, can you do for our employees what you did for us? And I just kept saying yes.
Right. I was like, yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
You're going to still pay me? Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to charge you,
but way to teamengage.com. And now we get to train companies and employees every single day to become humans who actually can scale their sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. More people need to win in this world. So that's what I'm committed to.
That's right. So what was maybe the first breakthrough sales position you had?
Yeah.
Where did that? Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. I did, one I'll tell you about was I was helping this company sell meal replacement shakes.
Okay.
Which were gross. And but I don't know, healthy people seem to like them. I did not. So when people asked me, I would just be honest and I would say, I prefer to drink my vegetables, but most people are enjoying the shake. I was just honest. And I think the authenticity got to people and they were like, this girl's hilarious. She doesn't even drink them, but she's selling them, which usually doesn't work, right? You don't work at Ford and drive a Chevy, but I did. And it just worked. And I think it's where I learned to be really authentic with people. Mm-hmm. But I was teaching them the master of the craft. I just wanted to sell everything. I sold coffee. I went up against Starbucks, which is really difficult, right? Because I don't think people even like Starbucks. They just like I like the environment. I like holding that beautiful Christmas cup, whatever it is, right?
They sell the experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then it was like in insurance and auto sales, like all of these different pieces started popping in. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's the same thing that has to happen to a human and they can sell anything. Yeah. So when I learned that, right, I was helping electricians to coaches to anyone. And I go, oh, it's not the product. It's the human. I can fix the human. That's kind of how I figured it out.
Yeah. So good.
The tent thing, like you pitched a tent and how long did you live in that tent?
Yeah, I was there for, probably 6 months without like furniture and all of that stuff. And then I was in the apartment for about a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half. Even when I made it, I was still scared to death that I was going to lose it all. Like, is this fake or do I really know what I'm doing? Or I was just working so hard, so fast that I was like, surely this is going to catch up with me. I don't even know what the heck I'm doing, right? Like it was like, then I made money and I didn't know what to do with money. So I would spend the money. And
Right.
that, it was like a 4-year journey of me really figuring that piece out until I built it so well. I saw a lot of people building companies and training sales in ways that didn't seem authentic to me. Because when you can go behind the curtain,
Yeah.
behind stage, see who people are behind the scenes. I met a bunch of
right.
heroes and realized they weren't my heroes. I wanted to be the antidote to that. I wanted to be
Yeah.
like, no, I'm like, don't fake it. Don't up the sales numbers. Don't stop doing that. Tell people this is how hard it is, but this is the reward. Which would you like to do? I wish people would have been honest with me up front. Maybe I wouldn't have ended up here, but I was determined to build something that would tell people the truth and that would tell them, this is going to be the hardest thing you'll ever do and the most rewarding for every area of your life, right? Because sales is what we do for everything, for our marriages, for our parenting. You're selling your kids every day.
Right.
Right. Your faith, you're selling yourself on it every day, something you can't see. Your health, like you have to sell yourself every day. So if you don't come face to face with who you are, how you do things, how you lie to yourself, how you allow things, who you're around, well, you're always going to be faking it in sales as well. So I just learned heal the human, scale the company.
Yeah, that's so good. The authentic is, I mean, people are absolutely attracted to authenticity, and they can see it and they can feel it, and then you have that instant connection, and then their ears just open up, and now they're like, okay, this person's telling me the truth. And because you can go to events and you can get all motivated, and you're kind of just wrapped up into the environment just as much as the speaker, but you always did it different. And you just always really just connected, and people felt like it was almost an individual session while you're on stage, like talking to them, and that works.
And it's not
so
the
well.
get rich quick kind of stuff, right? And you see that a lot on YouTube and with speakers. So
yeah, and everybody follows the same system of upselling, and here's the price, and red market out, and you're saving $58,000 today. All of that I was adamantly opposed to. I was like, here's the value, here's the price. Would you like the result? Because if so, I'll run right by your side. And I had to do that, right? Even when I undercharged, I had to over deliver and learn those lessons about what to price things, right? I think no matter how far I got from the tent, I'm in my new tent now. It's quite large.
it's a little bit better, huh?
It's quite an upgrade. We got to build this one. This was quite an epic experience. I still stand in awe sometimes of life, but I think I'll never forget that kid with 3 kids in a tent who couldn't really tell if I made the right decision or the wrong decision in that moment. If I was going to regret it the rest of my life, or if I was going to be proud with the rest of my life. I think that's a face-to-face that we all do sometime in life. Throughout building that, I also had cancer. And so that was like, when I started to lose steam and I got cancer, it was like, no, this is another thing where I was just face-to-face with life is short. Life is short, make it count. How am I going to provide for these kids if I'm not here? Well, what if I have 1 year to provide everything they need for their next 30 years?
Right.
I better get to work. And so it just made me focus in a way that most people probably can't comprehend, but they could if they ask themselves those questions, right? We've all lost people at a young age, or a ridiculous accident, right? You guys in insurance deal with that all of the time. Life strikes every day somewhere around the world. And I think if we could just live each day as if it were our last, Og Mandino, y'all should read that, the 10 Scrolls. That I actually have it right here in my office in a giant scroll. But that's what I lived. I will live this day as if it is my last. I will talk how I want people to remember me. I will act how I want people to recall and feel, and they will notice when I leave, and I will be proud today, no matter what happens. So those 2 things, the tent I'll never forget, cancer and how precious every day is. It's made me work harder than most, study more than most, and not do some of the things that most people do in normal days in their life. Like I didn't need to do the normal things. I just didn't really participate.
Yeah, so good. So we did based on you, we did the 10 scrolls here at Ideal Traits. So remember, we did them every week. So we did 1 week, one scroll.
Wait, is that where you
just
10 things you're
build-
grateful for?
No, not that.
That's
It
her
was
other
before
book.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
I like that you do all the things, though,
Right,
guys.
right.
I was doing that for a hot 4 weeks.
The
I had it
gratitude
running.
journal.
Oh yeah. Then I lost it somewhere, and I'm like, shoot.
I'm going to send you a book.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But we did the 10 scrolls, and
Yeah.
it was just it's great. And so every Wednesday I do a meeting with the team. Like they coined it Kevin's Corner, and it's so fun. And so it allows
love
me
it.
the opportunity to do a
It
little
seems
speaking to them.
like people always ask why people stay at companies. Why? Like I have a running list of people who ache to work for us, right?
Yeah.
They always ask why, and I'm like, listen, people go where they can be led, where they can be poured into, where they can be mentored, right? People will do life or business with you if you increase their odds of winning.
Yeah.
And if you're not, they'll go find other opportunities or people who will lead them. So you're doing just the Wednesday meeting. I do Wednesday meetings for companies all over the world, right? They're like, why? And they're like, we have people come work here because we have your training. I go, yeah, right? I do it until you can.
Right.
People have to have somebody who pours into them and leads them. And I luckily had that with different humans throughout the little areas of my life. It was this person for this week. You mentioned Richard Branson. Who even gets to be in his presence? And I got there and I was like, I'm going to make my life count. I don't know why I got this wish of a lifetime, but I sure worked hard for it, And when you give people opportunities like that, they don't go anywhere else. You have retention winning, and they bring their sharpest friends to come work with you too. That's what you really want to create.
So fun. In fact, I'm actually going to be seeing Dr. David Martin Thursday.
Oh my gosh, I love him. He is one of the funniest humans on the planet.
Yeah,
he's
funny.
nonstop
He's
crack up,
pretty
isn't
funny.
he? Nonstop.
He actually told me a quote one time in a conversation, and I have never forgotten it. I've used it all the time. I was trying to solve this problem, so we were having this conversation, and he said, well, I want you to remember, because I was looking for what's the giant solution, right?
Yeah.
I'm a solution person, so nobody's allowed to complain around me. They can bring me 3 solutions to their current challenge, and we'll pick one or create another, but they don't tell me their problems, right? Ugh. That nobody wants to have that conversation. So I keep it that way. So I was bringing solutions to him, and I was trying to create these grand, vast solutions. And he told me, he goes, Danelle, do you know it's a small hinge that opens a large door? And I was like, haha, I'm thinking too hard, aren't I? He's like, it's going to be one small change that opens everything for you. He goes, I want you to think of the small right thing to do next and fix that. Sure enough, opened all the doors for me. Amazing.
Wow.
But I was like, that quote from him has stuck for the rest of my life. So I'm going to share it with everyone else.
His one-liners are money.
Oh my gosh.
They are money. Even his social media, it's money. Yeah.
And
So
he
funny.
sneaks them in because you're just talking like, wait, was he serious?
Yeah, because you'll chuckle and you'll be like, but then he starts laughing later and
So
smiles.
funny.
Yeah.
If you watch anyone who's a comedian and funny, they're extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
They have to
'Cause
be
they're
to time
quick-witted,
things and whatever. And you'll be joking, and then you're like, oh, you just zinged me. I got it. Oh, that was so good. Yeah.
Right.
I picked up on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're meeting, we're actually installing Ideal Traits for his churches and getting it to help
how
him with his hiring.
cool.
So it's going to be really cool with him and his recruiting team. But on the note of, seeing mentors and stuff, is me and him are going to be able, we're going to have, we're going to John Maxwell's house and have dinner with John Maxwell in March. So I am
That's
super
awesome.
pumped.
I had
for
a
that.
stint of my life where he mentored me as well.
Yeah.
What an incredible human. He always told me I needed to sit down more when I was
Yeah.
speaking. He's like, you're burning all your energy. You're not going to live as long, Delgado.
Oh my gosh, that's funny because I can see him up there and he's sitting too. He sits on like a stool.
He does.
Right?
He
When
told me I need to. And I was like,
Yeah.
but look at my shoes. I want to walk in them.
So, hey, I want to take you back about a year ago, and I just recently saw your post. And for those of you who don't follow Danelle, you have to follow her. Facebook friend her, follow on Instagram, follow everything you can about her. And so we'll include all the links for you to be able to do that. But your post was incredible. And I just showed it today to Todd Dawson, and I think you met him at one of our events before, one of the partners here at Ideal Traits, and he was like, wow! I mean, like
That
he
is his
was like,
reaction.
Holy
Yeah.
cow, that's a massive transfer. Like, look at the definition in her arms.
Yeah.
And, so for someone who had, finances in order and family in order and business in order and everything else in order, and you must have maybe come to the realize you wanted to get your health in order. And finally,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was,
I think it was something I definitely battled for a while. I mean, I grew up as an athlete. It was always important. I was a runner, I was a triathlete. I did all those things, but I think when life scared me, I had to go full on. And I do think some mentorship was like my mentors were very hustle and grindy. And so it was like sacrifice everything you want now for what you'll have
yeah,
later. And I kind of got to this point where I was like, I think I might die if I sacrifice everything. So it got out of whack. And I think even though all the other areas of my life were pretty dang healthy and pretty amazing, there had to be more depth to me. And it's like I heard it said the other day. I was like, somebody who was a billionaire, and they was like, what's crazy is if you become a millionaire, you have to let go of those traits that made you a millionaire to become a decamillionaire.
yeah,
To become a billionaire, you have to let go of those things because we learn on different levels. And the next level for me was, I think, finally letting go of probably the tent and all of the trauma and drama that had been there and I protected myself from for so long. And it was like, okay, so now that I'm free of that, who do I really want to become? And how long do I want to live? And, it wasn't, you'd think I would have cared about my health a little bit more having cancer multiple times. But I just was so focused on providing for my kids. I didn't realize that I wasn't teaching them those things. So I had gotten really focused, kind of made that decision. And then I started working with my partner, Mike Draper, who lived and breathed health. It was just a way of life. He was former Air Force SWAT police. I mean,
Yeah.
he looked photoshopped, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm like,
a
are those your
badass.
arms?
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? And he never said anything. He just would go to the gym, and I was like, I'm coming. I'm gonna go too. And it's like we all need a running mate and he ran at a rate that I could be inspired by. I think, the higher you go, sounds arrogant. I don't mean it that way, but you look for people who have what you want or you're inspired by or you're
right.
motivated by. And people asked how I actually did it so fast because the transformation is pretty large, right?
Yeah.
It's like massive.
Massive.
And they're like, that's like a 4-year thing that you did. Some people are like, did you have surgery? Did you? And I'm like, nope, I sweat every day. And they were like, what was it really? And I said, I worked out with the fittest people in the world. Like I worked out with fit people. That makes you do reps way faster. That makes you do way heavier weight. That makes you like push your body. That makes you competitive. I didn't like work out with people who walk into the gym and are like, oh, it's Monday. I really didn't want to do this today. I would like punch those people in the face and be like, get out my gym. I'm here to change my life. Right. So I worked out with the fittest people. His food, I didn't know how to eat like that. You think you do, right? You think it's pretty simple. Like it's not rocket science. Eat less, eat healthy, lift heavy things. That's how you lose weight. Like it seems pretty basic, but for some reason, without accountability and an example, I just, for some reason, couldn't capture that while doing all the rest because it was bad habits. It was eat on the run, go on the run, take care of the kids on the run. And he showed me how we could do that while we were traveling, while we were at home, anything in between. And it became a lifestyle I can't live without now. And it transferred into my kids to have my kids be like, because my kids are athletes, be like, Mom, we're so proud of you. Mom,
That's gotta be
Seth
one
one
of the best
time wouldn't
feelings.
share a French fry with me. And I was like, Seth. And he was like, you told me no, you have to go. And I was like, you're right. I really want one, but I don't give it to me. He's like, I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to have to wrestle me for it. Right. And so everybody was on board. And I think that level of accountability is harder to lose. Right. Make your goals impossible to lose and be surrounded by people who wouldn't let you do it. That's
I think Glenn Lundy said it when he's like caught not taught, so it's like you caught on. He didn't have to say, you're coming with me and we're going to do it. You're just kind of like, are you going to the gym again? Are you going again? And it sounds like that.
It was very sweet about it. Somebody asked, and they're like, Mike, what do you think? He was like, I didn't do it. She did it. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, you kind of did it.
Yeah.
And he was like, absolutely not. You didn't have to go, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah,
The other thing it
it's,
made me think
we
about,
all need people like that in business too.
for sure. And you know what it made me think about is there's somebody right now that's listening or have done it in the past, and they're a 10 right at the gym on a scale of 1 to 10. Like they're just like killing it. They got the best body and shape exactly the way they want it. But maybe they got to do the reverse. Maybe they got to be a 10 in business now, right? Because they've got all this focus. They know how to win. They know how to succeed. They put the dedication. They put the consistency in. And it's like, okay, now apply that to your business and see, be a 10 over there. And you can be a 10 at multiple things. And I think it was Ed Milet that said that. He says, like, I'm the best. When I'm my best, my best at everything. You can be nothing. The spoke of the wheel doesn't have to be shorter on one thing. You can be the best dad and be the best mom and be the best at the gym and be the best at work.
And Matthew
and all of
McConaughey
your
always talks
finances.
about like checks and balances.
Yeah.
All right, need to spend a little bit more time over here, and his like Southern twangs, like however he says it. I can't do it, but like in his speech, he was talking about that. Like you have different sides of your life, and self reflection. I'm not spending enough time with my wife, or what happened to my gym efforts? Right, I need to go to the gym more. And the book Green Lights was awesome. If you ever read that,
That is really good.
That's a
Super
great book.
good.
He talks about the scrolls too, actually. What's funny is you find the more successful the humans, the same patterns.
Patterns.
They all do and have. Like if you can be a 10 at something, you can be a 10 at everything. You just have to choose to do it. But it is those priorities. And usually there has to be some pain, some poking, some prodding, some disaster that is where you think you could actually lose it, that will make you change. I actually lost out on a speaking event because they said I didn't look like the rest of the panel.
Really?
And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
that motivated you.
And they were specific. They were direct.
Yeah.
And then I started filming for some of our trainings, and I that was sunk in the back of my head. I started filming, and I'm like, you're right. I can't teach about this exceptional life if I haven't also built it. I can't lie to myself anymore. My health is in bad shape. Let's fix it. And so I told Mike the other day, I'm like, I'm so mad at my friends. Nobody told me. Nobody was like, you're overweight. You are way overweight. You're way unhealthy. You might die. You could have heart disease. And I'm like, I get why they didn't say anything. I'm kind of a scary human. I'm a little intimidating. Sometimes. I don't think I am. I think I'm kind, but they say I am. But I was like, that wasn't their job, nor would it maybe have worked. So I think the more we can look at ourselves that way and go, be honest. If you were your best friend, what would you tell yourself? You tell yourself you're unhappy here.
Yeah.
You need to fix it. What are you losing because you're not fixing it? And when what you're losing becomes so big, right? I was like, oh, man. And one of my mentors actually told me, he said, you're leaving a hole for your enemies to beat you with your health. They'll always beat you because they'll look better than you.
Good stuff.
Even if you deserve the job, even if you're better. And I was like, I don't want any place where someone can take me out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be really hard to beat. I would like to be the best, and I had to take care of it. So let's get a little honest with ourselves. What do you guys want to change over the next 365 days? Let's pick one and let's focus. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Really cool.
I'm gonna
Go. Yeah.
or else you're gonna go the
know,
whole
we're gonna-
time
I
because
will.
you. That's how we are, right?
You didn't say
My
that.
turn.
I had another question already.
Danelle, I have a couple questions for you, but let's just start with one. So, at one of the events I went to and you spoke at, I mean, I was really blown away. But I took back two of your books because I wanted to give it to my friend. She was just graduating from college and she didn't really know what she wanted to do with her life. She went into the business world and now she's killing it. And she says because she read your book. So what I want to ask you, because you see a lot of things with college students, they don't really know some of them don't know what they want to do. And, that they get all upset and stressed. So what advice would you have for students that are just graduating and they might not have the best clue of what they want to do yet?
I love it. I've got my one daughter is going to be a senior next year. We're getting ready for this life, right? And
Yeah.
you want to prepare them all you can. But I think part of the deal is when when you do become a college student, you're prepared that that's the answer, right? That's the answer to your next step. It's going to lead you to everything that you want. And then you finish and you're like, oh, now what? I have to figure it out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where am I going? What am I doing? And so mentorship is always number one of importance for me, and to have teammates who are mentors for my kids. So I would say while you're in college or just exiting college, make a list of the 12 people who inspire you the most and get to know one of them a month, right? Like, or you can do it in 12 weeks if you want to really drive it up a notch, or see how you can get in people's camps. That's what I did. I wrote down 12 people who inspired me in the world and how can I get to know them. You might be shocked. It's pretty easy to get to very big people because most people just don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, who inspires me? Who do I want to become? What do I want to be around? Who do I want to teach me? It didn't even matter if I wanted to be in the job. Does that make sense? It was like,
Yeah.
how could I be around a learning environment? What industries do I love? So I just went and interviewed everybody who was killing it in life from my perspective. And I asked them, what would you go back and do differently? Who did you become? What's the number one skill I need? How do I get the best job ever? If you could pick any job in the world, where would you work? And I was like, I don't even know that industry.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be like a research agent and don't skimp. Don't look for a minimal job. Look for the dream job. Day one, look for the dream humans around you. Go big. It's the same energy to go big as it is to go small.
Yeah.
And I think too many people dabble as they're stepping out. I'd rather start at the bottom of an incredible organization than start at the top of a bad one because I had a degree.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really
Yeah.
good. And it's on the long. I can
It was going to be a follow-up question.
There-
Don't
that's
change the
fine.
subject.
I won't. But it's really along the same lines with who you worked out with, right? I mean, you didn't work out with people that weren't the best. And when you hang
Right.
around the people that are best, and those become the circle that you hang around with, you're just going to naturally become more like them. But I don't want to go
Right.
work out with someone who doesn't want to be there versus someone
Right.
who's been doing it and is a professional and knows what they're doing. Like,
Right.
you're going to
He or she's gonna want to cheat out at the end, right?
So surrounding yourself with the best people. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, just a follow-up question, because you inspire so many people. Kevin and I were inspired by you. My friend in particular, she said that she didn't have the most self-confidence, but after reading your book, she just related to you as a woman, she said, and going into the business world, like she was like scared and feels like she was like, some of these events she went to in college, she was getting a little beat up. So like,
Yes.
what advice in particular do you have for women that are just getting into the business world?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. It's a little bit easier than it was than when I first started 15 years ago or so. It wasn't as welcoming. But you're right. It is the confidence piece. And I think the one thing the book, I'm guessing I Choose Joy, that she has the gratitude journal and writing
Yes.
and the readings that are in there, that teaches people how to do for themselves what I learned how to do for myself. So I just take them along on the journey and I have them work on 4 areas of their life every single day. And by the end of it, you can't hear the old messages anymore. It really is scientific. I don't want to be boring on here, so I won't tell you all the science, but it does train the 4 parts of your brain that build true confidence, right? So it talks about writing 10 things you're grateful for every single day. That's the science of opportunity, right? How do people quit being negative and see challenges as this is the best thing that could ever happen to me? I had cancer, and where most people were like, slow down, have some soup, I was like, I'm conquering the world. If I only have a year, I'm going out swinging, right? So it's just how you handle life. So that was the gratitude piece. The growth piece is next. And I tell people to read 30 minutes to 1 hour a day, either read, listen, audiobook, YouTube, personal development, or craft mastery. Because if you're growing and you have truth going into your brain, it filters out and you have no room for the lies that maybe somebody said you couldn't, you weren't worth it, you're not pretty enough, you're not this. There's no room for those things if it's filled with constant information. Like I laugh because like, here's what I'm reading right now. Like there's never not 4 books around me, because if I don't keep piling in good old habits show up. Old fears, old thoughts. And there really is no room for fear if you're focused on where you're headed every day. So the third thing was their goals. I have them write their goals every day. So you can't write your goal every day in the specific form that I teach it and not recognize when you're on par and when you're not, right? You can't be like, I want to get fit and I'm sacrificing bad food and then have bad food that day because you already wrote, I'm sacrificing bad food. So you start moving the needle forward daily. And the last thing is grace. I think high performers, high achievers are really hard on themselves. And the grace piece is let something go every single day that doesn't need to be yours, right? Forgiveness that is undeserved. Forgive yourself, forgive others.
Yeah.
People are dealing with life how they can. And if I just let it all go, I had no one to be mad at, no one to blame, nothing to do except progress. And it gives you a confidence that can't be taken away from you. I'm doing the work every day. I'm grateful. I have opportunity. I can create what I want. This guy over here with no teeth is winning. Surely I can do it. Like, it just helps you. It's what I say, become the one your results require. That's what we have to do. Most people are just surrounded by doubt and little chips away at their soul and their confidence every single day. And I'm like, there's no room for that at this inn. Zero. Yeah.
Zero tolerance. That'll be a reel right there. We got to cut that out. Send it to Kelly.
Get it on it. Post it.
Thank you, Danelle.
So yes. Good. Yeah, good questions. Let's change them all. Ladies, it doesn't matter. You're going to learn so much from men. You're going to learn so much by standing up for yourself and showing how to love and lead with power. Like there is no, I don't ever give attention to insecurity or, hey, you get paid less or you do this. I'm like, oh, just watch me get paid more. Give me a minute. Right. Mm-hmm. I remember people who would introduce me at speaking at events when I first started. They were like, oh, it's so cute. Your little message of joy. And inside I was like, I loathe you. That's so rude. Right. And then 3 years later, they were introducing me as the keynote. And I was like, oh, I guess my little message of joy did okay.
It worked.
Right. Now that sounds a little mean, but there's always a little bit inside of us that is like, keep poking. That's like feedback's the breakfast of champions. Tell me again why I shouldn't. Like, just don't ever look at it like it's so hard to be a female. I don't want any females out there doing it. It's the age of the female. Run, rise, but serve your counterparts so well they honor you back. Mm. The first phone call I had the other night after I posted that, guess who it was? Who honored the work? Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer.
Oh yeah, wow.
He was like, I'm so proud of you, but here's it. And he was giving me tips and tricks for what was coming, what to be aware of.
Yeah.
Like, who does that and gets up there and gains the respect of that? And so, I texted back, I was like, that meant the world, right? And so, ladies, it doesn't matter male or female. It matters what you do daily. Mm-hmm. There's a position and a place for everyone who wants one.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Discipline. And that's one of the threads we hear from all of us successful people, right? Is just like daily discipline. Just consistency, daily consistency.
That's doing it our shirts, our team shirts at Team Engage. They have this rule that we live by, and it's how I started sales. This was what kept me alive. Is I had a rule, and it was no 0 days, no days where I didn't make at least one sale. I just committed that if I'm going to save my kid's life, no days without a sale. Yeah. And sometimes it would take till midnight. Sometimes it would take till noon, and I'd be like, okay, how many can I get to build up my week, right? So that became our commitment. That's what we train teams on. No 0 days. Don't have a day you don't train.
It's great.
Because every day you don't train, you're dying. You're going backwards.
I did notice, and we didn't coordinate, but we're almost all in the same
little quarter zip. Right? Here we go.
If you want a main staple, we nailed it.
Right.
Except she's probably in a little nicer weather, I would imagine. Yeah. Is she in Colorado?
Denver,
where are you at?
Right?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado. It's chilly, but there's no snow on the ground today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still having coffee, and I have slippers and a blanket on, so still cold.
Good. I'm actually going to be in Colorado in Vail at a 20 group. I'm a featured speaker at a 20 group for a 20 car dealership. So come to Vail in March. So
nice.
Super
Maybe
excited.
I'll come see you. We love Vail.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome. That'd be so fun to go skiing.
The new pad. Yeah. And we can golf. I'm on the nice course over
now. All right. Me and Jeff, big golfers.
Huge.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. CPC Colorado. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. All right, let's ask you another question about just like leadership in today's world and maybe connecting with the younger generation. A lot, even insurance, not just insurance specific, but a lot of businesses get the new age coming in. And any tips for those leaders on how they could be more effective?
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually one of my favorite topics to discuss.
Nice job, Kev.
I explain it. I think it's because it's one of business owners, managers' biggest frustrations is why can I not get them to do what I told them to do? I've told them 17 times what to do, and why is no one hearing me? Right?
Yeah.
How do you get them to show up on time? And I just kept hearing the same problems over and over. And I said, great, how have you shifted your training, your teaching, and your leadership? And they were like, what? Well, shouldn't they just want to show up on time? I mean, I give them a job, I give them a paycheck. And it's a very old school mentality.
Yes.
We used to do things because we were afraid our parents would beat us if we didn't. You can't do that in today's workforce. And, millennials and younger are very driven by, why am I doing this? What is the purpose? Who will it affect? How does it affect me? And so I think the language that we speak from leadership simply takes more work. And so a lot of people avoid it and they have these communication hangups. I think that leadership has to bring in new teammates. Here's how to communicate with the next generation. Here's how to be creative. These small tweaks, right? It's like Dr. Dave, small hinge opens a large door. So a small change in communication, understanding what drives people. It's never a human that doesn't want to do better, right? Nobody walks in and says, I would like to be your worst employee.
Yeah.
Your worst on your staff. I would like to be near being fired daily. Like no human, even if they have no self-esteem, wants to lose. And so it's not the human, it's the leadership.
Yeah.
How can you draw the best out of people? And if you will lean in, we have coaching that does that for people, right? If you will lean in with humans, you're going to get a result out of everyone. And it might be your worst performer that becomes your best because they just needed someone to follow. Right now, if you're having trouble, they don't have anyone to follow who inspires them, and the change has to be you. Now, that's really hard to hear if you're the owner.
Yes.
But it's just a small adjustment in how you approach human beings, right? We're born to ascend. We're born. We roll, we crawl, we walk, we run. Those who train become Olympic athletes. Same thing here. People are born to ascend. If they're failing, something's wrong in the process, and it's usually just a communication tool or an approach that can change the entire direction of a company.
Yeah.
This applies so much to what we try to teach our customers, especially when it's such a candidate-driven market where candidates have the upper hand right now. Like they want it to be, I don't blame them, but they want it to be how it was 20 years ago when they first started for $6 an hour, cold calling and scrubbing toilets and doing all this. And they didn't have to be led, but now it's different.
Right. It was people, I work a lot in the auto space, the insurance space, and people become managers simply because they've been there a long time.
Yeah.
Not because they have leadership ability, and no one has ever taught them how to teach. I did a huge 2-day conference with 24 dealerships in Virginia, CMA, Carter Myers Automotive. They're amazing. And I trained them for 2 days teaching their managers how to teach, and they were mind blown. They're like, why has nobody ever taught us this? I was like, oh, yeah, nobody does teach people how to teach. That's why I had a teaching degree, and it's management has to learn how to lead, not just how to do the job really well. Like you did the job really well, so you got a raise and a new position. But how do you teach people to do all that you know? And I just asked them one question. I said, is there something you know that makes this job amazing that you haven't taught someone yet? And they were like, well, yeah, well, like that's something you learn as a manager. And I was like, what?
Right.
What? Share everything, replace yourself. They'll make a new space for you. So I think there's just such a fear of people of losing their respect, their job, their whatever. I'm like, give people as much information as possible and watch your team scale, right? So it's just a learning mechanism that hasn't ever been needed in the workforce, right? I never had that, so why should I give that?
Yes.
And I was like, do you want to win?
Right.
Or do you want to lose?
Right.
Yeah, it's more like, well, if I had to do it that way, then they should have to do it this way. But then you're basically saying, Well, don't you
Why
want to
wouldn't we
be
make it better?
successful? Yeah, like eliminate that mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a generational change,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was also we were raised to be wallflowers. Don't speak unless spoken to. And now it's like if all eyes aren't on me, I have no opportunity. So there were changes that happened. Now it's social media, everything, right? And everywhere instead of speak when you have something valuable to say. Now everybody speaks whether it's valuable or not, and it has millions of views.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to adjust. I think our goal as leaders is how could I make this better for people behind me, right? How could I be a person that makes people make less mistakes? That's our goal as leaders.
Great. All right, we're getting ready to round the corner to 24. And any tips for our leaders and owners out there and as far as goal setting for next year?
Yes, I love it. So here's what I say when we go to set new goals. Number one, finish the ones you started in 2023. Okay, I always say, listen, like let's get rid of Christmas Eve, New Year's. You got 10 days left, 8 days. Who knows when this comes out? Maybe you have 5 days left. Finish what you said you'd start, right? Like close all the loops. If you started something, finish it. If you started a bathroom remodel or something in your office, like finish what you started, close all the loops. Don't leave anything left unsaid. If there's an apology you need to make, and I love you, I need to give a attaboy to your kid or your champions, like say what needs to be said before the year rolls over. You don't ever want to bring 23 into 24. And keep stop. What do you need to keep doing that worked? What do you need to stop doing that didn't work? What do you need to start doing that you've probably known for a long time you should be doing? Keep, start, stop always works. And then I have people make lists. I go, okay, once we've handled 2023, let's move to the next year. Write down for 10 minutes what you want. By about minute 8, you'll actually get to what you actually want. Everybody's like, financial freedom. I'm like, what is that? Do you know the number? Why? Like, explain to me the specifics, right? So what do you want for 10 minutes? Just have me on repeat going, what do you want? What do you want? Right? And then I have people write down 30 things that they want to do, want to be, and want to have. 30 each, and 30 things that they love. After you write down 30 of each of those, you're going to see a through line through your conversation of what you actually need to become to live 2024 as it could, right? We got to do the things we love, not the things we hate. We got to be what we need to be, right? We got to be real specific. I could be like, I want to be the greatest motivational speaker in the world. That would be number one, right? What do I want to be? Well, come on now. Okay. What do I actually want? Well, I want to be the most admired human of this generation for moving people's lives forward. Okay. Well, not really. Why do you want to be admired? No, I want to have the most specific system for human advancement that people can use to win on repeat. Okay, I'm getting closer. But you see how like it digs deeper with each one. So at the end of those 4 questions, usually a human knows exactly what to fix, what to keep, start, stop for 2024. I think most people just die with regret because they're not specific enough about what they want. They don't answer the question. They have a generality, and it's really hard. Like it's like shooting a target, right? Bow and arrow, gun, whatever. Well, if you shoot the target, great. But no, people only get excited at the bullseye. Well, most people don't know their bullseye. Most people are like, I hit the board. Yay. It's another year. I'm like, I want all of them to hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how you make it great.
Awesome. Love it. I was actually talking to Jen last night, and I said, I've got Danelle. And she goes, no way, that's awesome. And then she instantly kind of like had a little frowny, saddy face. I was like, wait, what's that? And she goes, I tell you what, I messed up. I was like, what? And she goes, well, a long time ago when I opened my travel agency, I called Danelle and we were going to have a week together in Florida, and she offered me a great deal, and I should have done it. I have. And I said, well, you don't want to have regrets. But
I'm a witness. She did say this.
Yeah. And so she was like, I totally should have done it. I should have spent the money, and it would have been painful, which would have made me do it even more. Yeah. But it was all in good. But she's doing fantastic right now.
But she's doing it.
She's doing really
like,
good.
Just the question and listening, it changes us, right? Yeah. It would never happen again. Maybe I'll make that offer again, and we'll keep going.
Oh, wow.
Well, let's get into that. So let's talk about what you got going on and how people can connect with you, listeners. want to be like, I want more of Danelle, where can they find you?
Absolutely. Best place, you can find me on social media, but the best place is teamengage.com. If you own a company, a business owner, a manager, a human on a sales team, really those service-based companies that want to grow and scale their humans. If we fix your humans, you can scale your company. I'll stand by it every single day with the companies that we work with, and we help build those humans into really strong, confident human beings who can also take on the marketing world, right? We have a team that builds the human and a team that builds your social media teams and really brings lead generation and community to companies around the world. So teamengage.com, you guys can pop on there, or Danelle at teamengage.com as well. Thank you guys for having us. We're just going to, give people the answers to win at life and business as long as we can.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great 2024.
It's going to be awesome.
It really is. I can't wait. 10 days. Let's close it up good.
Well, that was such a great episode. Thank you so much for being on our show and providing so much value to our listeners. And we look forward to the next time. So hopefully we can have you on again sometime.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Thank you.
sometime
You
late
guys are
24.
so patient.
Oh,
Heck
my
yeah.
gosh. Well, we
see
can
you
book
both.
it now for like next December.
Yeah,
and
see, we're salespeople. We can do the follow up. We
That's
we
right.
got you now, so we're gonna ask for more.
You know what? I haven't done a podcast interview for a year.
Really?
And I have so many requests every single week.
I bet.
And it just reminded me how much I love just to help as many people as we can. I've been very focused this year with my time. So thank you for being my breakout back into, sharing the message that needs to be around the world. So I love what you guys are doing. If you need anything, let me know.
We will.
Thanks so much. And if we can help you somehow, let us know as well. We'd love
Yes.
to help you. Thank you for today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take it now.